What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Viall Files Ask Nick edition. I hope y'all had a great weekend. We know we did. Not sure what we did. It was wild. We had a great week last week. A lot of Love is Blind content. Wild stuff. If you haven't listened to it yet, maybe you just caught up on Love is Blind. Go back and check out our conversations with both Marshall and Micah. Wild stuff. The reunion was just a giant mess. We tried to clean up things for y'all. What do we get into? Should we do housekeeping notes first? I don't know. Maybe. Viall Files Plus is rocking and rolling. We have, if you listened to last week's Ask Nick, I know you all did because you're dedicated listeners. Our first caller, our friend who is a lesbian dating a man, she wrote in with an update. It is bonkers, and it is available behind our new update special, which dropped last Friday on Viall Files Plus. Again, if you aren't familiar, we continue to do the updates once a month behind Viall Files Classic, as we now call it.
And that's going to be this week, actually.
And that's this week. Amazing stuff. But we also drop 2 updates every month behind Viall Files Plus. Again, so if you're interested, go to viallfiles.com. Just a couple taps and you will be subscribed. It's a 7-day free trial. We also have an amazing week lined up for you. Barbara Corcoran is our guest this Thursday on Going Deeper. She is a hoot and a half, a fun lady. And we'll be talking about all things business and love and dating, and I'm sure we'll be getting her take on all the craziness that is going out there in the pop culture world, so be sure to tune in for that. Tomorrow's episode, big surprise for you. I don't want to spoil it quite yet, but it is going to be badass. Anyway, what's going on?
So we got an email, shout out to Jen, who said, I would love to hear you guys debate whether or not people in relationships should delete all photos of their exes. And I think there's a lot to go here because there's social media, there's camera roll. So there's many dimensions of this discussion.
I actually have all my photos with Vanessa on my Instagram. And honestly, after Nelly and I got engaged, I was like, maybe I could just take those down. But then it was just like, I don't have the time. They're so far. I have to scroll so far. And I just don't give a shit. And, it's like, Nally doesn't give a shit. And it's just like, I feel like part of it, it's just like, if I had easy access to them, I would definitely probably delete them.
Would you archive or
Sure,
delete?
or whatever. I don't care.
Would you archive or delete?
I don't think I've ever posted a photo with someone I've dated other than maybe a prom photo. But I have 45 pictures on my Instagram, so it's very easy to get in there and rearrange.
I've always operated generally on the I don't delete in a sense because I do think it's silly out there to kind of reactive delete, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you date someone for a couple months, you post a couple pictures. Listen, if you have a hard time looking at them and for your mental health as always, that takes precedent over anything that happens on social media. So we don't give a shit about what they think of your social media activity as long as you're protecting your mental health. Now, aside from that, if you're worried about appearances but you don't really care, I just think it's always best to practice indifference, to not do anything. And so I've always kind of operated that way. It's that's the thing. When Vanessa and I broke up, it's not like I was immediately going to go delete everything. And certainly the months and weeks that followed, by then I just didn't care, and it was like I didn't have a negative memory per se about the relationship. It just was over, and I had healed and time went on. Now that I'm, years have passed and I'm engaged. Yeah, I mean, part of me is just I don't need those up, but now they're just so they're just so far buried on the gram that it's just I don't have the 20 minutes to go. And it's the effort that would take. And literally no one's talking. You know what I'm saying? No one's paying attention to it. It's not coming up anywhere.
And also with you, it would be a fucking stupid story, maybe. From the
most... Nick deletes me, man.
Yeah, it's oh, God.
I don't know. It just seems kind of dumb.
I think there is a case to be made for, the content of the photo. Because, I posted, for a 1-year anniversary pic, and it was, kind of a long exposure little kiss moment. And for that, I don't know. I wouldn't want that to be close.
Yeah.
I don't know, actually.
For example, like it's been a topic of debate on my Instagram, but I like to celebrate my fiance. I think she's a beautiful person. She also models on the side. We're both in our physical prime, and we're gonna celebrate that as long as we can. And Instagram especially is a visual platform where you literally post pictures of your friends and yourself and your loved ones. And if something were to happen in my relationship with Natalie where the relationship ended and I moved on and dated, I could imagine the next person would want some of those thirst trap type of photos where I'm celebrating.
Yeah, like one of the most stunning people ever to exist. I'd be like, get those the fuck off.
I could see why I could see why I might want to take. And even for me, like it's just like I don't know if I really need these on. So yeah, I think a case by case basis depending on what the photos are. But generally speaking, I don't think you should be that reactive.
I think it can be a green flag if you're like starting to date someone and they actually like still have them up, because I feel like it's more of a fuckboy move to take them all down.
Yeah, you're trying to hide something.
Yeah,
it's just like, I don't
and
know,
I'm like,
dated.
we're transparent. You're allowing me to ask questions. I did, however, witness a reverse Uno move this past weekend.
Reverse Uno?
It was a reverse fucking Uno. I've never seen it before.
And it was pick 4.
Yeah. Okay. So my friend was in town. She's been recently seeing this guy. I think they've been together. They've been like seeing each other or going on dates for like 2 months, maybe.
Uh-huh.
When they originally started dating, or like when they matched on Hinge, we of course found him on Instagram because girls do that.
Yeah.
And I remember finding photos of his ex and sending them to her. And I was like, oh, looks like he just got out of a relationship, whatever.
Uh-huh.
There was this one in particular at the end of last year that we flagged. They continued going on dates. They followed each other. Suddenly, that photo was gone. And we both said, interesting. Okay, he got rid of that. Maybe he's just like...
deleted it, archived.
We don't know. It was
off
gone.
The gram.
Vanished.
And we only knew it because I had sent her a screenshot of it. And I, at the time, had
evidence.
flagged.
You documented it, yeah.
But it went missing.
You made a paper trail.
We did. Over the weekend, I went back to this man's page. Not only was that post back up.
What made you go back? Was it like Trouble in Paradise?
No. Her parents were asking photos and asking for photos, and I was trying to show because I had my phone. She didn't.
Uh-huh.
Literally, the post was back up, and there was another post that was also back up that we had never seen before.
So he unarchived?
Unarchived not 1 but 2 of the ex.
Oh, boy.
Not great.
What does it mean?
I don't know.
In one way, maybe he's so comfortable with her that he's like, well, now it won't be an issue. I will throw these back
I
up.
don't think that's it.
No?
Because it goes back to your point of how you're like, I could do it, but what's the fucking point? There's no effort.
That took
of like,
effort and a thought and energy. And I doubt that effort and thought and energy was based off the fact that like, oh, the girl I'm seeing now definitely just like, she's totally chill and cool about this. Like, it would be a weird thought to have. I think it's worth the question. It's an
But
early...
how do you bring it up without being an absolute psycho? Because I feel like that's her hesitation.
Psycho?
No, I so agree. I would have a really... it's like the chill girl narrative that like as much as you're like, I reject this is stupid. It's so deeply ingrained.
It's all how you approach this. We've had this conversation in the office. It is, and for anyone listening, just be chill.
What? There's no chill for saying, hi, I have a photographic memory
because
and memorize your Instagram.
If you were to send a photo... If you're right, I think this is an in-person conversation, right? Or maybe a FaceTime conversation if they don't get to see each other often. But if you were to send the photo and kind of be like, what's this?
The fuck?
What's this? Yeah,
Explain
WTF.
yourself.
Like, or some passive-aggressive, like...
I just think it's funny how.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Then that's going to be perceived as crazy and defensive. Or it's just like, or on person, you just like, hey, can I just ask you like a question? I'm sure it's like, but I just noticed it. I was checking out your Instagram and I was looking at your most recent post. Like, that's not crazy. I just was caught off guard, like what made you post these? I don't think that's crazy. That's like, and you just calmly ask. You're just like, I'm just really interested. I think it's all in the delivery. When you're frustrated and like early in dating, people like to say, I don't know, I have a scenario. Let's say, someone's been like busy and they just haven't made time for you, You could reach out to them and say, well, you just never make time for me, or I'm really frustrated that like You lead with your frustration. If you lead with your frustration, I'm just really frustrated that it's just like, I never get to see you and it doesn't feel like you ever make time for me. Or you could say, hey, listen, can we talk, babe? It's just like, I really enjoy spending time with you and I love our quality time. And it would be, is it possible that we could work together to try to find a way to spend more time together? Those are two different approaches to the same topic. And one is going to be received as aggressive and attacking and putting them on the spot. And the other one is, I really like seeing you and you're fun to hang around with. Is there something we can do together? No one's at fault. No one's being blamed. And so, for all the people out there worried about sounding crazy or not being the chill girl, be chill. But communicate what you want and do it in a very calm way that doesn't put the other person on the attack. And it's, so we need to stop speaking up for ourselves and asking these questions. And you can do it without sounding crazy. It's just in the delivery. I mean, relationships are full of possibilities to trigger one another, especially early on. And we need to be able to hear out our partners and do the things, especially when it's low-hanging fruit. Especially when it's like, oh, easy, delete, I don't care. Archive, does that bother you? Babe, I'm indifferent about it, but sure, I'm happy to do that because I like you and I want you to know that your feelings are a priority to me. And we need to demonstrate to our partners early on that we're willing to make them a priority. And we need to figure out whether the people we're dating are willing to do these little things to make us feel good. Otherwise, you're just dating someone, as we've often said, who just likes having a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but not willing to do any boyfriend or girlfriend things when it's required of them to meet their partner's expectations.
And if they're like that, break up with them and listen to our breakup playlist because we have a breakup song of the week. The person who wrote this said, or not who wrote the song, it was not Taylor Swift who submitted this breakup song of the week, but the caller who wrote in said this song prompted a major breakthrough. Would it be great
if Taylor Swift just nominated one of her songs?
I would love that. But the thing about Taylor is I feel like she would nominate a different artist.
I don't think she should.
Presidents vote for themselves.
Yeah.
I'd been in love before, but nothing like the passion and intensity I felt with this ex. When it ended, I thought at first that I knew the type of love I was looking for. The real love was the high I'd felt with this partner. As time went on, especially in hearing the song, I came to terms with the fact that that relationship had not been healthy. The highs and lows were what caused such strong feelings, not a fulfilling connection. So without further ado, the song is Daylight by Taylor Swift, in brackets, I know, the live Paris version. The lyrics that struck me so intensely were, I used to believe love would be burning red, but it's golden like daylight. It helped me realize that what I thought I knew about love was nothing compared to what it could really be. Being out of my previous relationship left me open to find love that was completely different from what I've known thus far, one where good wasn't constantly being balanced out by bad. 3-something years later, I'm now with someone who I'm incredibly compatible with and who I've always felt safe with. The passion is there, but what I appreciate most is the comfort and the compatibility. I hope this song can help others recognize that the best is yet to come and they have no idea just how wonderful it will be to find the love that is meant for them. Isn't that lovely? I'm crying in the club. Thank you for sending this in. Please send yours in as well.
All right. Anything else before we get to our callers?
Tune in for Better Date Than Never this Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Better Date Than Never this Thursday. Wild stuff. The friendships that are budding in group chat is really something else. It's become a highlight of our week. I hope it's become a highlight of yours. If it's a Thursday night, a lot of you, I'm sure, might be feeling lonely, might be feeling just like, it's a community of people just talking about sex and dating. All right. Let's get to our callers. Oh, rate, subscribe, review, tell your friends. We always love it when you post our show on your social media and tag us. We'll try to share it as much as possible. You guys are the lifeblood of the show. We really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to send in those questions at asknick@theviallfiles.com. Mediation, texting office hours.
Sweating the wedding,
fighting with friends, family, struggles, things like that, infidelity. The list goes on. You're anonymous. We love to hear your stories. The people love to hear your stories, and we love sharing our 2 cents.
And if you have another topic like this Instagram photo one that you want us to debate, send it in.
Yeah.
Put debate topic in the subject line.
Oh, yeah. Pop off in the comments on YouTube, by the way. All right. Thanks. All right. Love you. All right. Callers. Bye.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
How's it going?
Good. I'm Mia. I'm 25 and a situationship I was then ended after we talked about his past infidelity, and now things have gotten really messy.
Okay. All right. So first of all, I guess my question is, one, why were you in a situationship?
I don't even know, honestly, I don't even know what term to use to describe the whole thing because we met on Hinge in December and we
Okay.
connected pretty immediately.
Okay.
Super good chemistry. And he did, like, we were both clear about the intention that we wanted to date.
Okay.
And so a couple of months into dating or just like regularly seeing each other at least like twice a week, like he would start to kind of convey that he wanted to be exclusive and that he wanted a relationship. And he was really like convincing about that. But I needed more information about him because I had this like intuitive feeling. And as I'll get into in a bit, he was disclosing some information to me about his past that I needed to further delve into before I committed to him in any capacity.
Gotcha. So it wasn't really a situationship as much as it was you guys were dating.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, you know, semantics, I guess. Well, I don't know. But like, to me, situationships are just that. Like, it's a situation because someone wants to be in a relationship and the other one doesn't, and then nothing really changes, and that continues on without any change. Rather than in this situation, it sounds like you guys were both dating with intention, and he might have been ready, but you weren't quite yet because you had some more questions and you wanted to get to know him, but you were willing to have those conversations, but your intentions of getting to a place that he was equal. And to me, that's not a situationship because both your intentions were, you guys were on the same page there. You were just going at different speeds. And that's not necessarily a situationship. I know some people might say, well, you know, I'm in a situationship. I'm dating some guy and he says he's not ready yet. And that's what, you know, but then that not ready yet is like, there's no end date. There's no intention of the person who's not ready yet to change it. Right. You had that intention, which is, well, let's have conversations about your past dating history. So anyway.
Yeah, it was like kind of like on the course to dating, but we didn't quite reach that point. But yeah.
That's not so much a note for you, but like for other people who, you know, because people who are in situationships love to figure out ways to tell themselves it's not a situationship. And so the fact that you both had similar intentions and did things about it, to me, suggests that it was just two people continuing to date. Anyway, so then you brought up his past dating history. How did you bring that up? Walk me through that conversation.
Okay, so I actually didn't bring it up because I had no idea that it was a thing until, so we were dating for a couple of months. He's 5 years older than me, so he's 30. So for his 30th birthday, I was like, let's go for a dinner. We're at this really nice dinner, having a great conversation. And like very casually, he just like looks at me. He was like, he just brought up the fact that he has cheated multiple times. And multiple times. And like we were in the middle of a nice dinner. And so I wasn't prepared to kind of enter that topic of conversation. So I was caught off guard. And he kind of just like, it was super casual how he was talking about it. He just said that I honestly was just sitting there listening to him kind of ramble. And he told me that he was kind of infatuated with his exes and like didn't really love them. And then another time he was on Molly and like all these instances happened a few years back. Like he's probably 25, like around my age when it happened. But I was just sitting there kind of stumped because I'm like, we're in the middle of a birthday dinner. We were having a totally unrelated conversation. He kind of just like word vomited onto me. And I just didn't have time to process or ask the questions that I wanted. So a week later, we were just like, I kind of let it sit and I was feeling really icky about it. And just like, I felt this pressure from him to commit to him, like being exclusive or starting to date. And I just wasn't ready because I didn't understand like how he's grown since he's done that. And I thought that was a fair question to ask. So we called and I said, I was honest and honestly, like, I don't think I was judgmental in how I asked the question. But I just really simply stated like, hey, I'll be honest with you. You brought that up at, the birthday dinner that we had. And I really enjoyed the dinner and like your transparency. I appreciated, but I want to better understand you as a person and what work you've done on yourself so that I know that I can trust you. And over the phone, he was like, yeah, totally fair, whatever. He was, how about we have lunch not lunch, sorry. He's like, how about we have dinner on Tuesday, a couple of days later? And like the next couple of days, this guy is buttering me up for dinner. He's like texting me constantly, calling me constantly. and then texts me that day and he's like, I can't wait to see you for dinner and talk about us. Like, I'm so excited. I've been thinking about us, whatever, whatever. It's 30 minutes before our reservation. And he texts me. He's like, can I get something off my chest? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And he texts me this long text about how he's like thought more about it and my questions aren't unfair, but he wants someone to just understand him and not have to ask any questions. And so it was, yeah, it was
Good
just,
luck.
it really caught me off guard. I know it was a little bit crazy. And then he called me and he sounded like he couldn't put together a coherent sentence. He was completely flustered and he was like, actually, I'm confused. And like, I don't know what I haven't made up my mind yet is what he kept saying. And I was really calm over the phone. And then I just cut it short and I was like, hey, like, I'm going to go, like, best of luck with everything, whatever. Text me that night. And he was like, I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me and that we can be in each other's lives at some point. And then just a week ago today, actually, he texted me again saying that I was everything I needed to be and more, and that he appreciates me. And I'm just like, this is already like fucked with my head so much. I don't understand if I did something wrong in my question.
No, you didn't.
And I don't know what his intentions are in reaching out to me. I'm like, do I answer? Do I not? I'm like, I don't know what to do.
All this is, I mean, it sounds like up until this point you liked him.
I really liked him. We had a really good
liked him. Okay.
natural connection. It felt like an old friend.
Yeah, so definitely some red flags here, major red flags with his response. But, you know, red flags to me are not necessarily like non-negotiables. Clearly, how he responded to me shows that he hasn't really dealt with this, right? Which is why he is defensive, because he doesn't know how to answer your question. He told you he was upfront about his cheating. That's a green flag. He wants to be upfront with you. He knows it's wrong. Not to give him too much credit, but there's a lot of people in his shoes who would not bring that up, who would just lie about that, especially if they plan on doing it in the future. So from a character standpoint, it sounds like he has a desire to have good character and be a better partner to the people he wasn't a good partner in the past. So that's a green flag. But what he hasn't done, it sounds like, is my guess is, you know, because there's a pattern of infidelity on his part, and we've talked a lot about this in past episodes, I doubt very much that he knows why he's cheated. I mean, he can bring up Molly and drugs and things like that, but that's not why he cheated, you know? And he can make guesses about, well, I was obsessed with her and I didn't really, you know, we didn't really connect. That doesn't explain why he cheated. That might explain why those two weren't compatible, but compatibility has nothing to do with infidelity. You know, he could have just opted to break up with her. And yeah, Molly doesn't make you cheat. You know, Molly makes you horny, but like you can be horny and still say, I got a girlfriend. Guys are horny all the time. He doesn't know the answer, which is why he comes up with these things and they sound reasonable. And for people who are looking to make excuses for him because they like him, it might come across as like, yeah, well, you did Molly, you were drunk or whatever. You're sorry, you know it's wrong. I can trust you. But it sounds like you're a little bit more emotionally mature than that. You recognize that, well, I don't know, Molly, I don't like, that doesn't seem like that is, I have more questions. And he probably had a lot of anxiety and then handled his anxiety very poorly by saying, I can't do this. And then calmed down, realized after he canceled the date, was like, I don't know, she kind of handled that really well, actually. And now I feel like an asshole and I'm embarrassed and I don't know what to do, which is why he's kind of like this whole, like, he just kind of keeps going because, you know, he probably feels bad. This is all to say, like, if this, all of this gave you the ick, you would be justified to just be like, you know what? You're not there yet. If you like him, I don't think it's the end of the world to give him another chance and have that dinner and see if he's more willing to hear some constructive feedback that, while might sound a bit judgmental because, well, he knows he fucked up and he knows that people will judge him for this and he doesn't have the answer yet, but it's still a fair question, as you acknowledged. And the truth is, until he can really, my guess is he hasn't gone to therapy to find out why he's made these choices. You know, he doesn't have an answer.
Yeah, he said to me, said that he references a lot of self-work that I'm I have not seen evidence of. Like, he's told me that he's in therapy and that, I don't know, he's like been single for a while and has been working on himself, but I'm feeling really discouraged by how like abruptly he communicated with me
Yeah.
and
Fair.
how volatile his emotions are. Like, I just don't know what to do with this. And I honestly haven't stopped thinking about this now for weeks. Like, this ended exactly a month ago. And he
Why?
texted me a
Why?
week ago, and I'm
What?
just,
Well, why haven't you stopped thinking about it?
I was just gonna say I haven't stopped thinking about it because I haven't connected with someone that organically. Like, it's such a confusing thing for me because our like humor, like we literally, I feel like a kid when I'm around him. Like, I haven't really met someone that I've instantly clicked with, just like I did with him. But at the same time, there's just these like indicators of like emotional immaturity, but then he has these like glimpses of self-reflection. Like, well, he's gonna like reach out and apologize to me over text. And then I got my hopes up, and then I feel like I'm scared to keep like letting him in and keep getting disappointed. But it's
Sure.
really hard to let go when you feel like you have this like instant electric thing with someone. um I don't know. And I guess it's on me for kind of imagining the potential before I saw evidence that he could get there. But I honestly just have never connected with someone like I did with him. And so it's just kind of like, it's stuck with me for sure.
Okay, which is understandable, and I think I could sit here and be like, oh well, it's just chemistry, and you can find chemistry with anyone, but it's hard to find people you connect with, and I wouldn't give the chemistry you feel with him too much credit, but like I think you can give it some credit. And I think this is you're trying to thread the needle here, and that's okay, right? Like, not the end of the world for you to invest a month or two into this guy to see if there's potential there. You've seen some green flags, you've seen some red flags. And so I guess again, what I'm saying is if you're willing, you just have a conversation and it starts with something like, listen, I'm not looking for perfect. I'm just looking for people who are always willing to like talk through things and show a willingness to learn from their mistakes, hold themselves accountable, do the work, and that's all I really want. And tell them it threw me off. I was really frustrated with how you handled things, but I do really like you. I haven't give them all the compliments about why you haven't just left and why you like them, but I would ask him, like, oh, he says he's in therapy. Have you talked to your therapist about your infidelity to understand why you made these choices? Because it wasn't Molly. He didn't sit down in therapy and be like, yeah, I've cheated on a bunch of women. I took Molly, and their therapist was like, oh, well, there's your answer. That didn't happen. And if they did, he should fire his therapist. But people can go to therapy and avoid bringing up things. As a former as a Catholic, whatever, confessions, whatever, I don't know what you call them. But like, we have confessionals. You confess your sins. Well, when I was a kid, I'd been like, yeah, I was mean to my sister and I was this, but I didn't really like, yeah, I was just like messing around with girls. I did not bring that shit up. You know what I'm saying? I just conveniently left it out and just hoped that when he said, well, I absolve you for all your sins, that he included all the things I didn't want to bring up, And so he could easily be in therapy and choose and cherry picking what he wants to bring up and what he doesn't bring up. And so again, fair question to say, have you worked with your therapist? I think it's amazing you're in therapy, but like, have you worked on this topic? Have you understood why you make these choices? Because if you don't understand it, then that's okay. But like, it means you probably should, because I do think it would make me feel safer to continue things with you if you could better articulate, why in those moments that you chose not to handle it a different way.
I have a question though. Like, and this is probably me protecting my ego a little bit, but I don't know I don't know what to make of the intention behind the text that he sent me. Like, maybe I sound naive and it's obvious that he's trying to reconnect. Can I read it to you? It's quite short.
Sure.
He was like, hey, and then used my nickname. Just want to apologize for how it fell apart. It's on me. You were everything you needed to be and more. I appreciate you a lot. Just wanted to let you know that. So he's not like explicitly asking to get back together with me. I'm not really sure what the purpose is because he already apologized like the night that we broke up.
So you don't even know if he's necessarily asking you out?
I don't know if is it obvious from that message? Because to me, it's
not.
not. I don't know what he wants.
I feel like if I had to guess, I would think he's kind of testing the waters where he was like, I definitely want to apologize. That's safe. And then like I would guess, but not be sure from that message that he's probably also being like, and if this starts a conversation and like, you know, he's clearly trying to like re-engage on some level, especially if he's already apologized to you before. So I would assume it's a little bit more on the like seeing if it's an option thing than
But
not.
it's still annoying. Just fucking own up. Just be like, hey, I fucked up. Would you be willing to have that dinner and finish this conversation? So yeah, it's not clear.
That's why I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Well, do the thing that you want him to do. Just be direct. And you've spent enough of time wondering about this guy. I know you had chemistry with him, but and you don't need me to tell you, like there's been plenty of other things that scream, this isn't your guy, you know? And while I know, listen, as I say all the time, it's supposed to be hard to find people that you have this type of chemistry with, because otherwise it wouldn't feel special. But just because you have chemistry with him doesn't mean that he's capable of being the partner that you want and deserve. And he might be in the future, but until he does the work and learns how to better regulate his emotions and deal with some of these tough questions, and you didn't even ask him in that tough of a way, like he's not ready to be the partner that you want him to be. So I would just, I'd reach out to him and be like, hey, I appreciate you saying that, but to be honest with you, it's been a real bummer because I really like you. You know, don't even say liked. I really like you. I haven't had this level of chemistry with anyone, but it's been really disappointing to see how things were handled once we had that conversation. I would love to like finish this conversation if you think you're capable of having it, and then see what he says.
In terms of, because I'm also trying to be self-reflective in my process of dating. Like I'm trying to see if there's an opportunity for me to do better. And do you think that, like, did I ask that question about cheating and how he's grown? Was that too early? Because he
No.
did state that he felt judged. Like, that's fair game, right? Like, I think if
He
you brought it up to me
he
over
cheated
dinner,
on multiple people. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, table that for like a conversation 3 months down the road, and then emotionally invest in him and get to know him more and have lots of sex with him and develop stronger feelings, only to then check in and realizing he hasn't done shit about it? No. He brought it up.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he did, because people who cheat are fucking liabilities and red flags, and people cheat for all sorts of different reasons. And while it's never an excuse, there are reasons, and some of those reasons can be worked through. And some of those people who do cheat can right or wrong by recognizing, you know, that they've been basically dealing with past trauma in a very shitty and inefficient way, you know. But until they have those conversations with the appropriate people, usually a therapist, and work through some of those, you know, decisions that they've made and really dig deep about their past and understand why they make the choices they do, and then learn the tools that when they feel triggered in these situations, that they go about handling it in a different way. And the people that they want to date in the future are going to want that security, because they are a flight risk in a, you know, so to speak. And that's just something he's going to have to deal with. And he shouldn't just, as he said, like, that's just unfair. And I hope he knows this after letting some time pass, but it's ridiculous for him to have said to you, I just want someone to accept me for who I am. It's just like, no. You know, I don't accept that you have a history of cheating without any assurances that you have done the work to ensure that it won't happen in the future. I do not accept that. I hope that you don't accept that either.
And I kind of, like, after I've been reflecting myself, I feel like maybe my read on this is wrong, but I'm wondering if the reason he was kind of pushing commitment on me is because he wanted to almost like just fast forward past the part where we get to know each other on like a deeper level and like prove to each other what work we've done on ourselves. Like, I just feel like it's kind of sus, like to try and make someone commit to you without having those like substantial conversations. I don't know if that's a
Yeah,
red flag, but
no, it is. Yeah, it's
I'm torn. I'm like,
it's like someone who has a kid, or like maybe they have herpes or something, and they're like, I need to have this conversation. Yeah, you want that person to fall in love with you first before you drop the bomb. So like it's understandable, but doesn't make it right. The only good news for him is that he recognizes that it's fucked up and wrong, and he recognizes that it would be something for his future partner to accept. But he has to go a step further and do the work. Because like if he had done the work, it would have been, hey, I want to be upfront with something. I have a history of cheating. It's embarrassing for me. I'm ashamed of it. I hate this part about me. And I would understand if that's something that you're not comfortable pursuing. But I just want you to know that I've worked really hard on this issue. And I've been in therapy and I've tackled this specific issue. And again, I'm not making an excuse for myself because there's no excuse for cheating. But I have recognized that some of my decisions were a result of X, Y, or Z. And instead of doing A, B, and C, when I felt triggered or when I felt insecure or I needed validation, I went about it in this very toxic way. And I've been working really hard with my therapist to not do that. So if you're willing to move forward with me in our relationship, I just want you to know that like I'm continuing to do the work. I'm still in therapy. And while I'm not saying I want to like get in a relation, I want to start doing couples therapy with you because I don't want to get too crazy, but like therapy is a big part of my life. And I think it's just always a positive thing, yada, yada, yada. He could have done that and he didn't. And if someone doesn't do that, you have every reason to be worried.
Yeah. I also wonder like if he, like the reason I was asking about why he's grown as well is it was so hard because like with all that good chemistry that we had, I feel like he was constantly bringing up other women. And I wonder if some people, like, I don't know, I feel like he was trying to signal to me multiple times, even by bringing up the cheating at that dinner that we had, that he's able to get women, even when he's in relationships. Like he was almost like narrating his identity to me all the time about how
Give me an
he told me,
example.
like one of the first times that we hung out, actually, he told me that one of his exes like made a viral TikTok about him, and he like had to like threaten her legally or something to get it taken down because it was inaccurate or whatever. And then he told me that a bunch of girls that he's hooked up with have a group chat where they talk about it. Like he was constantly like flagging to me that he gets female attention. It was like he had two personalities, and that's kind of maybe why I'm struggling. Is it's like he was so kind and funny and authentic in all these ways, and then on the other hand, he had this side of him where he'd constantly flaunt like female attention. And I'm wondering if he was thinking that when he told me that he was a cheater, that I would either sit there and like comfort him, or I would sit there and be like impressed that he can get girls whenever he wants. Like that's why I tried to understand it a bit better. And then I just left that whole phone call with him when he ended things feeling as if I had judged him. But it was just, I've honestly, it's just been it's been a roller coaster.
Yeah, well, I mean, the more you tell me, the more I'm like, maybe this is not your guy. But he just hasn't, like, I think he means well, but he it just sounds like a guy who hasn't really done the work. Needs some validation. And even when he's in a seemingly happy relationship, that every once in a while, he needs to scratch that itch to make sure he still can and he still has it. And he needs to be validated to know that he can still, attract other women. And doesn't sound like that desire has gone away. And so he hasn't really worked through that, it sounds like. Given all that, it's a lot to invest in with someone that all you have is a little bit of chemistry with.
Yeah, very true. If I don't like intend on giving him another chance, would you suggest that I just leave the text alone and just not answer?
Yeah, and the only reason you should respond to this guy is because you want to finish this conversation, have that dinner, and
re-engage.
And re-engage and say, hey, listen, like, I'm sorry if I made you feel judged. Don't apologize for. It's like weird, because don't give him the real apology because you have nothing to apologize for. But you are sorry he felt judged. But it doesn't. Have you discussed this topic in therapy? If he says yes, be like, well, what answers do you have as to why you need that type of validation when you're in a committed relationship. And that answer shouldn't trigger him. If he gets defensive and be like, well, I don't need the validation, he's definitely not done the work.
Yeah, I did feel like he kind of freaked out and like ended things without having thought through what he was doing carefully enough, because he was just having this like knee jerk, like defensive reaction, like you were saying. So yeah.
Because another way to
It's
interpret
definitely a lot.
another way of interpreting that text isn't him testing it could be both could be true, but another way of interpreting the text is him saying, yeah, I haven't done the work. And I know if we have this conversation, you're not going to want to date me because you handled the conversation in a way that he wasn't expecting, more mature and thoughtful, and he probably saw where this was going, and he doesn't have the answers that you're going to need to trust to invest in him more. So he's just kind of like bowing out because deep down he knows. I think the best response is probably no response, like especially if you don't want to pursue things with him. I say this with a huge grain of salt, and this is where you're going to have to really be honest with yourself, because I'm worried that you won't be able to disconnect, because you could send him a message saying, I appreciate the note. I just want to say that I really did enjoy my time with you. And you could say, if I'm being honest, I haven't felt that type of chemistry with someone in a really long time. So it was a real bummer to see things fizzle the way they did. I hope that you're able to work through these things and answer and get some of these answers so that in the future you can, give someone the type of security that you weren't able to give me, because it sounds like deep down you have a desire to be a good person, and this maybe like you just need to do some work, and that's okay. But I'm worried that you will send that and then he will be like, hey, great. And then you will wait around for him to do the work. I don't want you to wait around for him, because like, truthfully, like it's pretty clear this guy hasn't done the work and he needs to do the work. And you got to ask yourself, are you really willing to invest in someone you barely know, have no history with? And what you do know is that he's a cheater who hasn't really done the work regarding his cheating. And all you do have is some chemistry. And when you lay it out like that, it seems like not the best proposition for you.
I've been struggling because it's been a week since he texted me and I haven't responded. So I'm wondering like if I just say my piece with the self-discipline to not wait around for him, like you said, and not get my hopes up, maybe that'll also give me some closure that I can move on with my life and kind of let this rest. Because I feel like in the whole breakup, I honestly barely got a word in. All it really was him word vomiting to me over the phone that he's confused and feels judged and wants this and that. And it's just been his roller coaster. So I'm thinking that might be a good idea just to send a text and like with good intentions, but not with the intention to wait around for him.
Yeah. Don't make it super long, but I think somewhere there you can include, like I believe in forgiveness and I believe people can change, but I am not willing to accept people for who they are if who they are people who have cheated and they can't demonstrate the work they've done to give me the insurance that they won't do it to me. The feeling you're trying to give him is, I'm worth it to do the work so that I can be a good partner in the future. Because clearly this is a guy who's lacking some self-confidence or has some insecurity or needs some toxic validation. And whether he's cheating or going on dates and talking about past dates or past girl, like that's just weird. It's like a weird thing to bring up. And it's riddled with red flags.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, let us know what you end up doing if there's a response there. But it sounds like we've come to an understanding that maybe this isn't your guy.
Probably not. Probably not.
And then to help you get over it, stop saying things like, I've never felt this way. You had some chemistry and it was good. And chemistry is supposed to be hard to find. And just because it shows up at your door doesn't mean that they're the one. As you've experienced, chemistry is one part of many things that come with finding someone that you're willing to invest in to potentially spend the rest of your life with. And you're only 25. And this will just show this is a demonstration that you can find people that you have chemistry with, and hopefully in the future, while they won't be perfect and they'll have their baggage as well, that hopefully that conversation about how they've dealt with their baggage goes a lot differently.
Thank you guys.
All right, take care.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. It's Mother's Day coming up. We all love our moms and our loved ones. And honestly, whether it's mom or just a special person in your life, you have got to be thinking of Skylight Frame. That's right. We love sentimental gifts on this show. And Skylight Frame is one of the more sentimental gifts you can give a loved one. The Skylight Digital Photo Frame is a sweet and meaningful gift that will give you a new way to stay in touch with those you love. It's so simple and fun to use. Even if you're not tech savvy, no app or subscription required to send photos anytime from anywhere.
You can send photos to the frame. You can both preload a bunch of them. So right when you give them the gift, they'll have all of these amazing photos and memories right there. But as you make new ones, you can email them directly. It is so user-friendly and simple. And so for me, because I have family who's really far away, it's such a nice way of being able to make them feel close. The other thing that is so awesome about it is that they can interact with the photos and like them. So when I send my mom a whole different photo dump, she can say which ones are her favorite. And it's just a really good way of like feeling close to people without needing to necessarily like get sucked into your screen and spend a while on Instagram when you didn't mean to.
And remember, Mother's Day is around the corner. And as a special Mother's Day offer, get 10% off, up to $30 off your frame when you go to skylightframe.com/files, Files. That's right. Get 10% off, up to $30 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame. Just go to skylightframe.com/files, Files. That's skylightframe.com/files, Files.
Nutrafol is what you need if your hair is thinning or weak. And I can speak from personal experience because I got on the Nutrafol train when my hair was thinning and weak, and I wanted to bring it back to life and make it thick and luxurious once again. And I started taking Nutrafol every night and definitely saw a huge improvement over a course of a couple months. And it definitely, I feel like, really accelerated my hair growth. It came back thicker, more healthy, and I'm a customer for life.
Natalie is obsessed with Nutrafol. She literally, it's the last thing she does before she goes to bed.
It's also the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement for women because it's clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Our bodies go through a lot. So whether it's postpartum, menopause, like no matter what the root cause of your hair changes are, Nutrafol has 4 unique formulas to support women, and each is physician formulated using natural, drug-free, medical-grade ingredients so you get the most reliable results for better hair growth through whole body wellness.
And the really impressive thing is 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months, which is a really impressive statistic. So if you're wondering if this works for 86% of people, it really does. And I think it is so worth it.
Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter promo code VIALL. Find out why over 3,500 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code VIALL. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code VIALL. How's it going?
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm 24, and I think I'm in love with my best friend, but he has a girlfriend, and I don't know what to do.
Okay. I don't think you're in love.
Okay.
That's just me. Also, he has a girlfriend, you know.
Yeah.
I think you like him.
Relatively new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me more. How long have you known this person?
Since 3rd grade, and I had a crush on him, and I probably stopped having a crush on him around 18 years old when I realized that it's probably never going to happen. I'll never be his type. His type just doesn't look like me. And he also got with my cousin. And at that point, I was just kind of like, whatever, we'll just be friends. And I thought that was the case, that I had moved on from him. But then on his birthday a couple weeks ago, I was out with him and his friends, and I was making out with his roommate / best friend, and he was pissed.
Why?
Now I'm just confused.
Why was he pissed?
He was just like, so you and we'll call him Max, really? So am I going to see you in the morning? Really? Him, out of all the people in the world, really? Him?
And what'd you say?
I said, why do you care? That
And
also was not our first
what
time
what did
making out in the past.
what did he say?
He was wasted. And he wasn't really super coherent, but was
Okay.
just like,
Did you have this conversation when he was sober?
no,
Okay.
it was all a drunken night.
He didn't seem to care when he was sober?
Not really. I mean, I didn't see him that night when he was sober, but he was wasted. But yeah, he basically his girlfriend was there and was giving me all the attention and not her, and was very visibly bothered when I was kissing his friend.
Gotcha. So what do you want to do about this?
I don't know. So I personally, I don't know, because I have some trauma surrounding like guy girl friendships. Like my most recent ex left me for his so-called best friend, and I don't want to be that girl in his relationship. Also, I don't want to shoot my shot and get shut down and ruin a friendship and our family's relationship. So I'm wondering, like, do I hold this in forever, or do I just kind of like shoot my shot when they break up, or if they break up?
I mean, what family, friends, like how, I mean, I think mom and dad are going to be fine. I don't think they're going to care.
Yeah.
Do you?
I mean, like
Am I
we
wrong?
travel a lot.
The families travel together.
Yeah. And like we've had a million opportunities to hook up and like have never. So
How
basically, I'm
how old are you again?
24.
And he's your age, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And you're like still taking family trips a lot together?
This was probably our last one, so it might not even be a factor anymore.
There you go. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think this guy is like I've heard you heard me say this before. It's a little different. You have some family history. It's like kind of like your cousin you want to fuck.
Ooh, Nicholas.
Well, I'm only saying that
Yeah.
because she's talking about it like, growing up, you probably called his parents aunt and uncle.
No, I didn't.
You didn't? Okay. I'm just saying there's clearly some closeness that you're protective of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think you should tell him. He's not your friend.
He's been there for me throughout like a lot of things in my
So
life.
then what do you like about him?
He is super caring and funny, and I don't feel like he ever judges me when there's a lot to judge me for in like my past, and we just have like such chemistry. And I don't know, I think potentially
Do you
maybe
have
down the
chemistry
line.
or comfort? Because if you have, chemistry I feel like should be felt mutually.
That's a good point. I don't know. Chemistry is friends, I guess, but for sure comfort.
I'm just, in most of these cases, my suspect he has a girl. How long has he been dating this girl for?
Couple months.
Okay.
And also the first time he told me about her, he just kind of talked shit about her and was like, yeah, she's like not super my type. She's kind of boring. I don't know if she's the one. So I'm like wondering, do I just wait for them to break up, or do I hold this in?
Well, you've been holding in for this long now. I mean, like how
True.
how much are you bursting at the seams? Like, are you crying every night because you can't be with him?
No.
I think more than okay. So here's what I would do in the meantime, practically speaking, because I'm kind of giving you a hard time. I think you should the drunk conversation that started. I think you should have sober, and I think you should say, "Hey, listen, the other day, when I was kissing so and so, and I think you should. I want you to bring it up to him, because I want him to visualize you kissing the friend."
Okay.
So when I was making out with Matt, like, you got really upset with me, and
Mhm.
you were really drunk. So I just wanted to follow up with you. Like, why did you give me such a hard time for making out with Matt? If he says like, well, I just don't trust Matt, but like, well, why are you friends with people that, would you say that, if he says like, oh, I just know what type of guy Matt is, say, would you say this to any girl he made out with? Because if he thinks
I can
Matt,
do that.
if he thinks Matt's such a bad guy, then he should warn every girl.
Yeah.
Ask him sober about why it bothered him, and push back with some of his answers that don't make sense. If they don't make sense, you have a right to ask follow-up questions. If it sounds a bit hypocritical, you have a right to ask follow-up questions, and ask more questions rather than make accusations. Like, so instead of saying, well, that's hypocritical, just think of another question to ask that would kind of, like I said, like, well, Matt's like this. It's like, well, that sounds like, well, did you ask would you warn other women? And then depending on what he says. Hey, well, you're but I don't know. I'm friends with you. It's just like, well, as my friend, I just think it's a little weird that you're getting mad at me. And then you can decide for yourself at what point that you want to be honest about your feelings. But I would just start there.
That's a good point. Okay. And maybe he was right about his friend because he's already ghosted me.
Well, yeah, but he might have told him to not.
Yeah, to back down.
To back down.
Yeah.
And regardless of what.
It's about his reaction.
Regardless of what the friend did.
Friend.
Like, it's just about the fact that he gave you a hard time.
Okay.
Does he have any idea that you might have feelings for him?
Probably. I know he knew in the past that I did, but I think he believes that those are all gone because I've said that.
So I think, I have my answer now. I just think you just need to be really mature about this. And regardless of the fact that he has a girlfriend, I don't think you should be like, I'm in love with you and we should, no. You sit him down and you say, hey, why did you ask me this question, right? And then depending on how the conversation goes, I think you could just be honest. You just say, hey, listen, I'm going to be really honest with you. And you might already know this, or this might not come to you as a surprise, but like, I care about you. And honestly, I care about you more than a friend. And I don't want to make this weird. You have a girlfriend right now, but like, it's just upsetting to me to hear those types of comments, knowing that if I had my way, we would actually give this a shot. I'm not asking for that right now because you have a girlfriend, and I'm not saying I can't handle being friends, but I would appreciate it if you wouldn't make comments about who I make out with, who I date, if you don't want to give this a shot. And just kind of be very matter of fact and very mature about it. And I don't know how he'll feel I don't know how he feels about you, but it always comes across very attractive when people are very calm about when they're talking about their feelings. And they are very and they already come into that conversation with they're not asking a lot of questions about it. They're just stating facts about their feelings. I like you.
Okay.
This is this. I don't appreciate you doing it. If you want to reconsider our relationship, I'm open to that conversation. And as far as, not wanting to be in the same version, like, listen, I don't know how your ex handled it or how long it went on for, and if you were really insecure about her for a long time and then he finally validated that insecure. Yeah, so that's a slightly different situation. Yeah. Ultimately, I'm glad you're not with him, and I'm glad he's with her because it sounds like that's how it could have gone or should have gone.
Yeah, and my friend said he hated him the entire time, and I was like, well, interesting that you're telling me this.
Whatever. Yeah.
Now that
this is a little different. And I do think if you do this, it should affect the friendship. Yeah. I do think it's better to just be honest. Like, you can be honest about your feelings without like pouring your heart out or I love you. Don't say I think I'm in love with you.
Okay.
You don't know that. Just say, I think I have feelings for you that are stronger than just friends. And while you may not feel the same way about me and you might not be interested in exploring that, I would, but knowing that I don't want to hear those type of remarks. And if you really want to be respectful to his now girlfriend, regardless of what you think about her, then be very very mindful about not being flirtatious and not being alone with him and, not doing lunches. And don't do boyfriend and girl. Don't do the things that pissed you off that the other girl did to you. You can still be his friend and there for him, and you can still hang out in group settings, but you could be mindful of your behavior around him. And if he chooses that he wants to pursue something with you over her, that's his choice.
That makes a lot of sense. It's actually really great advice. I knew you were the right person to go to with this internal dilemma I was facing. So thank you.
Yeah. So just don't be shady with your behavior. Is basically how you don't do the same thing that was done to you. But that you have the right to be honest about your feelings towards him, even if he has a girlfriend.
And it's good because it creates a level of accountability with like, if his girlfriend ever has a conversation with him about like the friendship he has with you, like then he has information, that he can like either choose to be honest about or not be honest about. But like, you're definitely, I think, putting it in a position where like people have the information they need to like make informed choices that are respectful to everyone. So I think like it will also help absolve like any guilt you might feel about like pursuing this friendship that you kind of have like maybe some other motives with.
And the more like normal and calm and straightforward you are with this conversation, I feel like it'll just be that much better for your guys' relationship moving forward. Even if you do take family trips, like you kind of get to set the stage of, told you how I felt. That's it. I'm good. I won't be weird. This is fine.
Okay, because I feel so weird. I don't even know how to like talk to him anymore after like I feel like I've had this realization that the feelings are still there. Like I don't even know how to text him.
Well, don't. Yeah, I mean, I think the friendship should change. You can still be friends. You can be there for him if he needs you, but you recognizing that you have feelings for him and knowing that he has another girlfriend and knowing that you don't want to do the same thing to her that was done to you, then you need to adjust your behavior towards a man that you have feelings for who has a girlfriend. So you can still be a friend, but that friendship is drastically changed in how you hang out and how you handle yourself around him and, you know, the flirting or the chemistry. You have to be the responsible one to back that off. And honestly, if there's ever a chance that you guys come together, you backing off is only going to help you. Make yourself unavailable and don't give him the things that he would want in a relationship that you're willing to give in a relationship. Just be friendly when you need to.
Okay. And then do I try to see if I can pursue something with the friend?
Well, I mean, if you want to. Yeah, I don't think you should not on his account. That's for sure.
But I also think you shouldn't do it because you're like want to kind of poke the bear a little bit and be like, oh, look at him getting a little upset and possessive over me.
You shouldn't be petty.
But also he, as you said, he hasn't even texted you back. So we don't have a lot of data to go off of, and the data we have isn't great.
So basically he asked me if I was like coming out this weekend, and I said, if there's a reason to, basically being like, if you want to ask me to do something, and no response.
And when was that?
Well, he doesn't want to be responsible for entertaining you all weekend.
Yeah, that was like 3 days ago.
So you shouldn't
go. It wouldn't have been. It probably was just a couple hours.
You shouldn't go then.
But,
yeah.
Okay.
If he's not putting in
that text was, are you going to be here so that at some point we can meet up and we can fool around? But like he doesn't want to entertain you. He doesn't want to be responsible for you. And he doesn't want to be the reason that you show up.
Yeah.
So
I deserve a lot better than that.
Yes, you do.
All right. Well, let us know how you handle it.
Thank you. I will. Thank you. This is so cool. I really appreciate you guys talking to me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for calling in.
Okay.
All right,
bye.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Even the Rich, the podcast that talks about the rich and famous and their wild and wacky stories. That's right. Even the Rich is a podcast from Wondery that tells the jaw-dropping stories about the tumultuous lives of the world's elite. From the greatest family dynasties to pop culture superstars, having unimaginable wealth unlocks a world of which most of us can only dream. But once you get past the red carpet galas, the private vacations, there can be a darker side of that power, money, and fame. They have stories about Madonna, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, the Murdoch family, Janet Jackson. The list goes on and on. Dolly Parton one, that's a wild one. She began her career as a poor girl from rural Tennessee with a big heart and an even bigger dream, but even Dolly Parton's yellow brick road was checkered with struggles. These are fascinating stories, people, and if you love to go behind the curtain of some of the world's most famous, glamorous, and just iconic people and hear the knit and grit of their past, you gotta listen to Even the Rich. You can listen ad-free on Amazon Music or Wondery app. Gentlemen and ladies, if you didn't already know, it's tax season here in the U.S., and you know what that means. It means Manscaped is here to make sure your paperwork is done and your boys downstairs are having fun. Make sure you spend your tax return money on the important things this year, like family, friends, and ball deodorant. Join the over 8 million men worldwide who have trusted Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off, plus free shipping with code VIALL. So whether it's ball deodorant to make sure your guys are smelling fresh, or the Lawnmower 4.0, or maybe it's the new Weed Whacker 2.0 ears and nose trimmer, that's a wild one. I was trimming my nose hairs in the office the other week, and honestly, my nose has never felt really better. Just really aired it out. Ladies, do yourself a favor and get your man all the things that Manscaped has, because if nothing else, they'll stop using your razors and your clippers and things like that. Oh, also, did you know that the start of spring also marks the start of Testicular Cancer Awareness Month in April? Manscaped has partnered with Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to the testicular cancer, men's health, and early cancer detection. That's a fun word to say. Testicular. Just go to manscaped.com. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you use code VIALL at manscaped.com. That's 20% off. Plus free shipping when you use code VIALL at manscaped.com. Don't just get your money back this year, get your swagger back too with Manscaped. How's it going?
Hi, my name is Betty. I'm 29 and I have a coworker that has a crush on me and it's starting to make me feel super uncomfortable.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about this coworker and ways in which they're making you feel uncomfortable, or how they're making you feel uncomfortable.
Okay, so I work in a old boys club type of truck shop, and it's just very old school, male dominated. I'm the only woman in the lunchroom on breaks and stuff, and yeah, so it can be kind of a hard environment already, but this guy isn't actually like a lot of the other guys in the shop. He's not like your typical man's man. He is a little bit more considerate. He isn't someone that I like originally felt I had to have my guard up against. He is a nice guy. Like that's his personality. That is just like the essence of who he is. Always asking you how you're doing, if your day is going well, remembers the things you say to him. He'll follow up with like polite questions. And yeah, he has this crazy puppy dog crush on me. And it seemed kind of harmless at first, but the attention that he's paying me, just going out of his way to talk to me, sitting next to me every single lunch break, and just like smiling at me, trying to start conversations with me on the shop floor. It's drawing a lot of attention from the other guys, and that's not like looking very good for me. And then also, I've been doing a lot of outdoor recreation on the weekends with another coworker, and this guy has kind of somehow gained an invitation every weekend. So not only am I seeing him 5 days a week, I am seeing him on the weekends as well.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry you have to deal with that. How close are you with the other coworkers?
I keep it as surface level as possible, just to kind of keep that professional boundary. I'm a lot closer with the one coworker that I've been doing a lot of hikes with. He and I mean, we hang out on Saturdays, so it's a little bit different that way. But with all the other guys, it's just like friendly banter in lunchroom. It's pretty witty. It's pretty feisty. Just like good natured.
Yeah. Do you think this one friend you go on hikes with, does he know anything about this situation?
No, I think he's pretty clueless, to be honest.
Do you think you're close enough or comfortable enough to let him know, to get his 2 cents and to say, hey, like, because it's a unique dynamic. You're the only woman working there. It's, a good old boys club type of thing. It's, and I'm sure that you've really gone out of your way to, fit in, but at the same, and you don't want to be treated differently, and I'm sure there's extra pressure that comes with that. So it'd be nice for you to have like an ally, someone looking out for you.
It would be. I feel like, and I know it's not my fault, but like every time I have an uncomfortable situation with a male coworker at work, and it's happened like quite a few times now, I always feel really embarrassed because, like it's simply because I am a woman there that this is happening, and not that it's like a flaw of mine being a woman, but like it's not happening to the other guys. So I feel like any conflicts that I have of this nature just makes me like more of a burden to like management and all of that. Even if that's not really like just to be like thinking about myself, but I just feel like extremely embarrassed. I've dealt with this a couple of times before, and coming forward with this information, like even to like just another coworker, like first I'm just kind of nervous that maybe word would get out that this is a thing. I feel like people are already talking about it anyways. Because I've tried a few strategies to like avoid confrontation with this guy about it.
What are they talking about? I mean, because like from my understanding is he just has a crush on you and it's so obvious, but you haven't given him any reason to think that you have similar feelings.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some like salacious rumors spread about me, like when I first started working in the shop. They were obviously like disproven over time, and like my conduct and my character kind of showed through, and people no longer believe those rumors. But it's one of those things where it's like, if it was my word against like a man, it would be like the man's word that was like respected or taken more seriously, potentially, not by management, but by the other guys in the shop. And also I feel like there's a couple of guys that just like to spread like rumor and gossip for fun. So I think it's become a lot bigger than, oh, look, that guy's like following her around. I think like some people have like kind of just wondered whether or not there was something actually going on, which there definitely is not. But there's been a lot of speculation.
Have you said anything to this guy at all?
I did. And I thought that I had made myself clear. So in the beginning, when I was first dealing with this and being very frustrated with it, I called my brother and I asked him, you know, what he thought I should do. And he wanted me to be like, obviously kind and considerate to this guy and not like shame him, but still like clear enough to try and get him to back off. And I thought what we came up with was okay.
What did you say? I mean, what did you say to him the first time when you thought you made it clear?
This was the first time when I got my brother's advice. And
okay.
Basically, like what I said to him was, I mentioned that people were making comments that made me uncomfortable. I also made it kind of, I talked about how like seeing him 6 days a week is just, it's too much. I don't know. I was trying to be like gentle about it, but I was like, 6 days a week is too much to be seeing someone from work. And then I also just said like I wanted to protect my reputation at work. And so I was going to do what I needed to do. And this conversation was sparked because I just stopped eating lunch in the lunchroom. And funny enough, that was enough to kind of like cause a little scene where everyone's like, oh, where's Betty? Like, why isn't she here? And because I'm kind of the life of the party in the lunchroom. And so unfortunately, I kind of caused a scene without trying to. I was actually trying to like avoid being awkward.
I mean, and then like, does your work have like an HR?
No.
Okay. And then what's your relationship with management?
It's pretty good. It's gotten a lot better. Unfortunately, like I've had to come forward to them in the past twice with like pretty serious sexual harassment concerns. And I felt like the first time I was really well received and respected, and it was dealt with. And then the second time, unfortunately, so I went to the previous manager that I'd gone to the first time, and I was explaining to him what was going on. And another manager walked in at that time, and then he joined in on the conversation, and he kind of turned it really sour. And he was like, well, are you sure they meant what they said? Did that really happen like that? Kind of all those horrible questions where it's like, I didn't even want to come forward. I probably waited too long because I was so embarrassed and I didn't want to seem like a burden. And then to have him like question me like that, it ended up being a confrontation. And we've since kind of had a follow-up, and it's been like, well, I straight up just came out and told them that they dealt with that really poorly and that no woman should ever be like talked to like that. And I was more aggressive than I'm used to being, but I was very upset. And we've kind of worked it out, but I still feel kind of like hesitant now to like come forward again, especially for something where it's like, I don't feel like threatened or afraid. I just feel extremely uncomfortable. And so it's like, I don't know how I would ever bring that up with them.
Yeah. It's a tough situation.
I also think first and foremost, you said earlier in the call, like, I don't want to be a problem to management. You're not a problem to management. He's a problem to management. So even if it's just like little things like that in your brain to remember, like you did nothing to cause this. You're not in any way encouraging that. And if management's going to roll their eyes and be like, wow, what a headache. He's responsible for their headache. You're not responsible for it.
It's just hard when like, and I totally agree with that. And if I ever heard any other woman talking, I'd be like, it's not you, it's them. But it's hard when it's like always them plus me. Like, it's
absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
I'm like the common denominator in all of these over and over again. And so it's like, oh, like I do my best to deal with it myself. Like I even like sacrifice like community and friendships in the lunchroom to try and like just distance myself from the situation. And it's like, but I'm still like the person in this like reoccurring issue.
It's just like so hard when you're the only woman, because I'm like, I worked as the only woman at a company in New York, and it was awful because it was like, I was in the event space and I was dealing with all these guys who would like come for like cigar and whiskey events, and it was a very masculine environment. And I would end up getting like manhandled as like the person at the door. And then I'd end up like crying in a bathroom because I was like, they have no idea how this kind of stuff affects me. But then it's like, who am I supposed to bring it to? My male boss who has no idea that like this is actually happening? It's an impossible situation sometimes.
And it's so like taxing, and like this, like hearing this, like it makes me so angry because like there is not some easy solution that like you're refusing to like commit to or do. Like you are like working your fucking ass off, not only at your job to prove that you deserve to be there, but like handling all of these delicate social dynamics that somehow all fall on you. And like that is exhausting, and that is so much work. And I think one thing, like apart from kind of handling this specific guy, is like making sure that you have people in your life who you're talking to about this, because like you need to make sure that like you're continuing to validate the reality that you live in. Like these people live in a different fucking reality. They don't get it. They probably never will. They could probably understand more. That's not to say this is hopeless, but like these people will not see things the way you see them, because that involves admitting that like they are the problem and they are perpetrators of like bad fucking behavior. So just like making sure for your own sanity, so that way you don't start to like question yourself or your judgment or your standards for how people treat you, like making sure you have trusted people who will like listen and be like, yeah, that is fucking crazy, or like, oh, that does suck, I feel like is an important step. And I wonder, do you think the phrasing of like, hey, it feels like with the guy who you've already had the conversation with, like, hey, like sometimes it feels like you pay a lot of attention to me in a way that you don't pay attention to other people. And to be honest, that like people who've paid attention to me in that way in the past, like have had ulterior motives. And I'm sure you mean like, you know, you can kind of like, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong here, but like being like, maybe give him benefit of the doubt. And by being like, you know, and I'm sure maybe you mean like nothing by it, but like in the past, like that's how people who have like had feelings for me treat me. And it made me feel really weird and uncomfortable. And so I'd be so grateful, like, if you could try and avoid that. Like, I know we had a conversation about this before. It feels like that didn't really resonate.
What if we just stopped? And again, we're just brainstorming here, and I know it might be easier said than done. But what if we just stop trying to be nice? You work in a male culture. I'm guessing these guys are pretty direct. You know, they don't feel the need to tiptoe around their issues. It's kind of like a fight fire with fire. I mean, you know, you are working in this industry. It sounds like you love it. And I'm glad that you get to do something you love. But like, I guess it's like, I don't want you to change who you are. But at this point, you know, there's been this pattern here of feeling like being taken advantage of, being the only woman there. And maybe you just need to start, how am I trying to say this? Like, it's like you almost have to like demand respect for them by almost like publicly standing up for yourself, almost like making a scene. You know, I don't mean like don't go crazy and like, but just, you know, even if other people are around, when you say, hey, listen, I've asked you before, you make me uncomfortable by, you know, and just name it. Don't try to give it another name that might be less offensive to him or less upsetting. In some way he can, you know, you're following me around. You're showing up uninvited. It really makes me uncomfortable. I've asked you to stop. Please stop. And I think you need to start. I think you should start documenting this via like email yourself. If you don't feel comfortable going to management again, at least document it to yourself so you have a paper trail of this. And if you do, like, listen, you're legally protected if you go to management and they fire you for this. Like, and that's why this should all be in writing. But I wonder if maybe just changing to start being a little bit more direct and a little bit more not giving a shit about whether you hurt their feelings or not, the same way they would fucking handle a situation. You kind of fight fire with fire a little bit. Is that?
I just like the idea of like possibly like shaming someone, especially publicly, like that just seems devastating to me. Like, especially since like this guy seems like he seems a little bit more sensitive. He seems pretty clueless, honestly, because I feel like I've been really forward, but also like, I just know like for me, like I've felt like that kind of public humiliation in this shop, like when I first started.
So maybe don't publicly do it or shame him, but I'm just saying, I just be more direct. And instead of trying to craft the perfect message that is both received but not hurtful and yada yada. You know, because when you do that, you know, we hear what we want to hear, right? And so when we go to people and say things like, when we try to come up with a softer message so that they, you know, their feelings aren't hurt, you're giving them a bunch of like windows and doors to interpret your message the way they want to, you know? And so I don't think you should shame him for the sake of shaming him or humiliate him for the sake of humiliating him. I just think you should be direct and say exactly what you want so that you have the confidence to know that he heard you clearly. And so that if he doesn't respect what you ask, then you feel more comfortable escalating it because you don't have to be, there's no gray area of what you asked, you know? Because he could be like, well, I don't know, she just said like, you know, 6 days is too much. And I guess I just kind of disagreed. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal because I wanted to go hiking too, or, you know, whatever it is. As opposed to like, hey, you may not mean this because I think you're a really nice guy, but it's making me uncomfortable how much attention you give me and how much you're following me around. And I'd really appreciate it if you'd stop.
I think it feels awful, but I feel like I could say it because I feel like when you're saying like, oh, like it leaves room for interpretation, I think that's correct because I felt like I was clear with him, but maybe I tried to deliver it in like the kindest way. And yeah, he could walk away from that and be like, well, she said this, but maybe like, because she also said this, it was something else. But you're right. I think I need to be like a little bit more, I don't know, just like, direct, colder maybe. It's hard because like I'm getting promoted into like more of a management role myself. And so it's like, I want people to feel like safe to come and talk to me as well. But at the same time, like this is just ridiculous. And
yeah, and they can still feel safe because this is not about you. You're open. You're all about communication, but like you know how to set a boundary. And when people don't respect your boundaries, no, there are consequences. You know, you see how these men act in your office, and they don't put up with shit, and they're willing to stand. You know, just give them that same energy. And in a weird way, like you know, regardless of the fact that you're a woman working in a male, you know, kind of culture, like just in general, men like to test each other. They like to make sure that they want to see if you can fight back and they want to see if you can stand up for yourself to men. And the fact that you're working in this culture, they probably have the same expectation of you. Whether that's fair or not, probably not, you know, and they probably shouldn't do that. But I think it would just go a long way for you to make it clear, and not necessarily shaming this guy to do it, but just in general, be willing to just say, no, stop. That's fucked up. I don't want to deal with that. Fucking cut it out. If you show a pattern of that, I feel like they'll get the point that Betty, don't fuck with Betty. Because like she's not here for this shit.
Don't fuck with her.
Yeah. And also like with this guy, I know like you were saying how like in terms of like staying true to yourself and feeling authentic, like kindness is really important to you. And like if this guy, this guy can't read a room to save his life. Like it's a pretty simple word. It's fucking no. And he still can't read it, which is like a bummer. If he had any clue of what was going on, that he was like following someone around, making them feel uncomfortable, that like this person dreaded coming to work or dreaded when he like walked over to them at work or like had a sinking feeling when he showed up on a hike, like I would be fucking mortified. I bet he would be embarrassed. And so like this is already a situation, like just because he's not privy to the embarrassment doesn't mean it's not there. And it is like honestly like a huge investment in future kindness to say like, I'm going to save his dignity and give him the information he needs to like behave in a way that's like more dignified.
Because either he would be embarrassed if he actually is the nice guy that you think he might be, or he's just pretending to be a nice guy. Because there's plenty of nice guys at the end of the day are just fucking creeps. I think it's just one of those things, as unfair as it might be, just setting a precedent with all these guys that you don't deal with bullshit, you know? And you know, because like just hearing you have such a your voice, it's very demure, and you have such a you come across as this very sweet, kind person, and they're definitely taking advantage of that. And I think they just need to see a little bit of different energy from you, and like don't fuck with Betty because you know she doesn't deal with this shit.
No, I think that's right. And like when it comes to like specifically work things that I'm overseeing, I'm a lot more like forceful and I guess like even harsh. Like sometimes I'll get these looks like, oh, I can't believe she just went there, she just said that. But maybe I am also a lot gentler and polite than I realized. And you're right, like I want respect and I want them to kind of get the point. And yeah, oh, why am I so afraid of like hurting people's feelings? Like I've been working in this like male dominated industry for like my entire working career. And it's so weird for me to like still be like, oh, but I don't want to hurt someone's feelings and I don't want to like outcast them by accident. And you know,
Because you have
know.
empathy and you care and you know what it's like to feel like an outsider and that's
Yes.
why. So, and that's a great quality to have and don't change it about you. But when it comes to work, you need to kind of protect yourself and you need
Yes.
to demonstrate your ability to stand up for yourself and
Mhm.
and demand these people's respect because they're not going to give it to you unless you show them that you can enforce it. And that's just, it's, you know, listen, every job comes with its pros and cons. And you've chosen this
Mhm.
job that you sounds like you like, and these are some cons,
Yes.
and you have to accept the cons, and then you have to do something about it, and then kind of control the narrative.
That's true. And like, so I am reliably single is how I like to tell my friends. You can count on me to always be single, like basically. How do I still like kind of give off this unavailable vibe, if that makes sense? Like, you know, I might be single, but I'm not available. Like, how do I kind of show that at work? Because it seems to be a reoccurring problem for me.
I think anytime that they make things more than friendly, if they're ever telling you something that is something they wouldn't tell your male coworkers, just shut it down. That you don't have to laugh at jokes you don't think are funny or that are at your expense or that have to do with like sexual natured stuff. You don't have to just like, I feel like we're so ingrained to not alter the mood, and especially being the only woman in the industry and in your company, you don't want to like, you know, be the problem or be the one where they have to like change who they are, but inherently they're being different with you than they are with each other. So I think it's those moments where you don't make it a huge deal and you're not going to, you know, stay ruminating on it for days and not talk to them, but you can definitely just remind them, yeah, no, let's not go there. Or like just brush it off in a way where it's like, yeah, no, I'm not engaging.
Also, don't forget that
That's fair.
men love to give each other shit. You know, like
Yeah.
I think it's okay for you to call out their behavior, and men do that to each other all the time. And so, you know, maybe they're asking you like, "Oh, what do you like to do on the weekends?" And you could say like literally anything but think about you guys. You know, like anytime you have an opportunity to joke, the joke is you guys are disgusting, or you know, or like what's your type? The opposite of all you guys. You know, like. And you know, you could say in a joking manner, but like guys love to fuck with each other. Guys love to tease each other and they love to talk shit to each other. I'm sure you see it all the time. And I think if you can join in that in your own way, you know, all while, you know, making it very clear that the idea of you and any of them like makes you want to throw up in your mouth. I don't think that's always necessary. That, you know, I don't think you're going to hurt their feelings. I think they might laugh, or, you know, I don't know these guys, but I'm just saying like guy culture and like, you know, they fuck with each other all the time, and they can be pretty harsh on each other, and guys don't really mind that. It's camaraderie in some ways. So the fact that you're so worried about hurting their feelings, I think indirectly is getting you in trouble, because they're almost taking that as you caring about their feelings. And I think you should kind of give the energy that you don't give a fuck about their feelings if it has nothing to do with work.
That's fair. I think that's really good advice. And it's something I didn't really realize about myself is like, yeah, maybe I'm just coming across as like too concerned about everyone else, you know, and not in a way that's like kind of overruling my life, but in a way that's maybe just inviting follow-up conversations and more awkward situations without me knowing it.
Yeah, tease them a little bit, and just in terms of setting the precedent that you're not available to them, I think it's okay to just make that fucking clear with some pretty direct jokes.
Yes. I think that's Yeah, I've been too scared of causing a scene and being the dramatic woman or the bitch or whatever, right? And I think you're right. Like, I think just maybe I need to just let go of that.
I think you
It's
should be
not really
kind of a
about-
bitch. Yeah. And I think that's
Yeah,
okay.
I think you're right.
And if the worst thing is that the guys at work think you're kind of a bitch, but you're kind of cool and you're a cool hang, but like, I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
date her. That's the energy you want. Like,
That's true.
try to turn them off. You know, be the woman that
Yeah.
they would never want to date, but they respect the hell out of you, you know, and they would definitely
That's
ask
true.
for your advice on how to get some shit done at work that needs to get done. You don't need them to like you. You just want them to respect you.
Yeah. And that's more important to me ultimately, like building my career and just like having that respect and like working my way up in the company. Like that's something I'm excited about. It's something that I want. And I don't want this like weird, awkward work drama and some puppy dog crush to get in the way of like my future and how I'm viewed by management as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly. So I think this will go a long way. I also don't hate the idea, like with this one particular nice guy, you pull him aside, you have this direct conversation with him, it goes fine.
Mhm.
I don't hate the idea of you still emailing yourself and then emailing management saying, hey, just want to keep you guys up to speed. Here's the situation. I handled it, but I want to let you guys know that I've asked him very directly to leave me alone. There's no follow-up there, but I just want to make you guys aware and document that I did ask him to, you know, stop doing this, but there's no next steps that I can see, but you know, because it gives them the confidence that you're handling it, you're dealing with it, you're professional about it. You know, I don't know what your thought, you know management more than I do or the relationship, but I think just kind of covering your bases it might be a great way to close that loop, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, you're not
I think that's a good idea.
yeah, you're not accusing him of anything. You're just documenting it in case he doesn't get the point. Because then
That's fair.
if you are direct and he doesn't listen, then it is a problem. And management is already one step ahead and you've made it very clear and they can keep an eye on him. And if he takes your point, if he takes your note, then there's nothing to worry about. Then they'll keep an eye on him and they'll realize, well, I haven't seen him around Betty in a while. Like clearly he got the point. Well, don't fuck with Betty.
That's the message of this
That's
call.
true.
Yeah,
Don't fuck with
Betty.
Betty.
We need merch that says "Don't
I'm
fuck
gonna
with
make a
Betty."
whole new merch line. Don't fuck with Betty.
That's awesome.
You're giving him the opportunity to be a gentleman and be awesome. And he should thank you for
Mhm.
that. And like, stop worrying about how he's going to look or how he's going to feel or what management might think of him. You're setting him up for success. It is up to him to be successful.
You're right. I feel like I've given him a lot of chances already. So maybe we're just done with that.
Yeah. And you're not putting a target on his back. If he respects your boundary, there's nothing for management to do.
And it also proves
Yeah.
that you're not just going to come like running and crying and screaming after the first thing. You're going to try and solve problems yourself.
That's true. It could be like a good step towards. Again, I'm so embarrassed to even have them know that it's like happening again, you know, like it's, but I think you're right. It is happening.
Why are you embarrassed? You're an attractive person. You're the one gender at a workplace. It's like prison rules, you know, like it's like when there's just one of something, it's just like whoever, you're just like, you know, like there's nothing to be embarrassed about.
No,
People
you're right.
find you attractive and you got some, there's nothing for you to be embarrassed about. It's like,
and my work
it's
is
fucking
like,
annoying.
very excellent.
Yeah.
Exactly. Your work speaks for itself.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully that's like enough. And even if it's awkward again for a little bit after I inform management, like hopefully, you know, time passes and my work is still up to the same quality and hopefully they just realize that's like more important.
I would just keep telling yourself you have nothing to be embarrassed about. Like it's not as awkward as it feels. And I'm not the bad guy. And I'm tired of being super patient and super accommodating to these guys. You know, they wouldn't have this patience for me. I don't owe them anything that they don't owe me.
Right? Don't fuck with me. I'll even say that to them. I'll walk into the lunchroom one day and I'll just be like, don't fuck with me.
Yeah, like slam the
kick
table.
the door. I'm tired of your shit. You're all the fucking disgusting. Who would date you?
So awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck. Would love an update as things progress.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Once I slam my hand on the table and
Yes.
yell,
Create a
I'll
scene.
let you guys know.
There we go. Love that. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for calling.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget, Viall Files Plus with an amazing update is now available. A special update episode of Viall Files Plus, again, dropped an update to the caller from last Monday. The wonderful lesbian woman who is dating a man has a bonkers update. One that I don't think you saw coming, but who knows. Make sure to send in your questions and stories to asknick@theviallfiles.com. Damn.
Can we make merch that says viallfiles.com?
Yeah, I don't care. It's fine. Keep it in. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.